Hello, fellow shape enjoyers. I recently finished watching Pixel Bush's video on Sadako, which if you haven't checked out yet, you should. And while discussing Sadako, he goes over the accuracy of the killer licenses. While browsing his comments, I couldn't help but notice this one. After reading it, I decided it would be fun to make an entire video on the matter and go over why Myers isn't a perfect adaptation like some think. I'm just gonna dive right into it. We'll start with the aesthetic choices that aren't fully accurate. Despite what some think, its mask actually isn't very accurate to the movies. Now, I don't know if this is because they would need Shatner's likeness or whatever it might be, but its mask is off nonetheless. The most obvious part being the hair. In Dead by Daylight, it's dark black and a little spiky. In the movie, it's more of a poofy, fluffy brown. The lips are also just not there in the Dead by Daylight version, while you can clearly see lips here, which also curl up into a slight smirk. A little detail I've also liked since Myers clearly has a certain fondness for its work. The chin is also a little more rounded in the Dead by Daylight version. Once again, this might be due to the Shatner likeness, I have no idea, but the mold for the Myers mask is actually correct in its power, so I have no idea why they can't just use it for his mask. It could be due to them being inexperienced at the time, or maybe they wanted to create their own unique Myers. Whatever the reason, it does hold back Dead by Daylight's interpretation of the shape being perfect. Another detail is quite a simple one. Myers is too tall and too bulky. The shape in the original movie, and in Halloween 2 for that matter, is an average height man, being around the 5'10" mark, adding to the believability that this is an average man with something not so average going on behind the scenes. Perhaps it was cursed, maybe it was born into the world pure evil. We don't know, but that's part of the fun of Myers. You don't know how much human is left in it, and there definitely is something still there. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. I'll save it for another video. Point being, the shape in the original movie is smaller, allowing it to hide in the shadows easier, and when it does showcase its supernatural strength, it makes it more jarring considering how average it actually is, further showing that something in Myers isn't human. When you have Myers as big as this, sure, it could be more intimidating, but it does ruin some of that mystique of the shape. It's one of the issues I have with Zombie's interpretation. He feels just like a big brute and not the shape. I'm all for different interpretations, but this is just Michael Myers, not evil incarnate. And one last aesthetic to go, his sounds. Let's start with the most obvious one, his stun noise. At no point in the movie does he make any sound remotely like this one. I'm not sure why they decided to go with this sound. It's so bizarrely out of character. Every single time the shape gets attacked in some form or fashion, it never makes a moan noise. Out of the 4 times it's attacked, it makes noises twice. Once when stabbed in the eye, and the other when getting shot. When stabbed in the neck and torso, it makes no noise. The most noise we get out of the shape is this pained breathing, which, side note, goes up drastically towards the end when the shape has Laurie cornered, almost as if Laurie's existence pains it and it just wants her dead at this point. It also breathes like this when it's strangling Laurie towards the end. The shape was done playing around at this point. This raspy breathing is the only pain noise it makes in the original movie, which is what Dead by Daylight's interpretation is based off of. So once again, for accuracy's sake, Myers should make this raspy breathing noise instead of this derpy moan. Now that we have covered all of the shape, aesthetically, let's go over its power. Myers' power is pretty spot on to how it acts in the movies, and I would say at the time of its release, the shape was perfect. But with the advancement of the game, I would say Myers should have an extra bell and whistle. I believe, like Pyramid Head and Sadako, Myers should have some sort of way of just killing the survivor. I am very aware that with a tombstone it can kill someone, and that's all fine and dandy, but this is evil incarnate we are talking about. You cannot control evil, you cannot put a leash on it. The mere concept of this is beyond hated by the community. Halloween 6. Myers is not an attack dog. It does what it wants. I think a cool way of showing this would be having Myers hook people normally for game balance purposes, but have Myers get more impatient as it absorbs more and more evil, and eventually it can simply mori them. I think a way of doing this would be allowing Myers in Tier 3 to cripple a survivor. It would work similar to a cage. Myers becomes blinded by bloodlust in Tier 3, so instead of listening to what the entity wants, it simply stabs the survivor in the leg, putting them into a cage of atonement-like state on the ground, grasping at their leg. I think this would also solve the problem of being slugged. Since the shape's timer doesn't stop when picking up a survivor, a lot of the time a Myers player will keep the survivor on the ground, creating a boring game loop for the survivor. This would be in character for Myers and could allow for a more involving activity for the survivor, having to put pressure on the wound to stay alive in stage 2. And if they are dead on hook, give Myers a quick little mori. Make it a simple slit of the throat. You could throw in the iconic head cock as it watches them squirm, attempting to hold on to whatever life they can. Simple, sweet, and varying characters, since this is one of the ways Myers killed in the original Halloween movie. To be specific, this is how he killed Annie. Thank you all so much for watching. Real quickly, for those that might be interested, we have St. Patrick's Day merch, so if you're interested, feel free to pick it up. Links will be in the description. If you would like to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing and drop a like, it helps me out a lot. If you have an idea for a future video, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much again, and take care.